Hello again, everybody. My name is Mike Petralia. It's episode 235 of Patriots Beat on the CLNS Media Network. You can find us at www.clnsmedia.com. Follow us on Twitter at two locations for your general sports at CLNS Media and for Patriots-centric and NFL-centric news at Patriots CLNS. You can also follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/CLNS Media. My pleasure to welcome back to the program Patriots beat writer for the Providence Journal, Mark Daniels. Mark, welcome back. And it's been a busy period for you as you had an interesting nugget, I thought, the other day on Twitter that I think caught a lot of people by surprise when Tom Curran was mentioning how Gronk had his doubts about the upcoming season and his apprehension about the upcoming season. You dropped a little nugget on Twitter saying that the Patriots had approached you trying to discourage you from writing that story that you wrote about Rob Gronkowski and the TB12 method. It was a story you wrote in the Providence Journal back on January 20th. Did that whole last 48 hours kind of catch you by surprise?
Yeah, Trags. You can say that again, my man. I didn't expect to create such a firestorm that would ultimately lead me on, Toucher and Rich or, NBC Boston, the Arbella early edition last night, or I was on EEI a couple minutes ago. It was kind of surprising, honestly. I thought the bigger news there was just what Tom Curran was reporting, that Gronk was thinking about retiring since last August, which caught me by surprise. But then that the Pats weren't overly thrilled with him working with Alex Guerrero, and instantly it sort of made me flash back to January, because for weeks in January during the playoffs, I kept approaching Gronk about the story that I wanted to write, just kind of talking to him off the record about ways I could go about doing it. Was he okay with me talking about it? And just trying to reiterate over and over again, this is what I want to do, and
right,
cool with it. And finally, he's like, I really want to do it. And I'm like, awesome, man. So I brought it to Pat's PR in person, and they seemed cool about it. And then I sent, but this hinged on one thing, and it was the Pats winning and going to the AFC Championship game, because I wanted this to be my basically my AFC Championship game, story, that
sure.
Sunday. And when I sent in the email to request them, just have them help me set up something one-on-one, got back to me just basically saying the request was denied because the Patriots team policy, the players couldn't talk about training regimens or diets. I was pretty shocked because, I've been writing about this team for 7 years, on the beat for 4. I've never heard of that. And I've talked to trainers and I've talked to players about their workout habits and their diets, and that's never been an issue before. So that caught me kind of by surprise. So I thought maybe the story would be over, and I wasn't sure what to do, but I started calling different sources and trying to get this stuff done. Finally, I think it was Wednesday, I approached Gronk in the locker room. I'm like, they don't want me to write this. Are you still down to do it? And he's like, yeah, I want to talk about it. And I'm like, oh, okay, let's roll, man. And, we got it done. It was interesting, how, they told me the interview couldn't happen. Gronk knew they didn't want the interview to happen, and he still did it. I thought that was just sort of noteworthy, in regards to the Pats not wanting him to train a certain way.
Well, I think it's very telling, Mark, because he wants his voice, and he wants the voice of the story that, what TB12 is doing for him is helping his body, and I think that's a big deal to him. Look, I think a lot of people feel that Rob Gronkowski is, this robot who will just do as he is programmed, and I am Gronk 87. And that's not the way Gronk is deep down. And I think people, when this kind of story breaks, it gives a little view, a little peek, if you will, behind the curtain down at Gillette Stadium. And look, you and me both know we've been around there long enough. Those kind of peaks make some people feel very uncomfortable.
Oh, yeah. You can say that again.
That's what it is, right, Mark? The only reason that this is a story to me, the the denial of access to a certain player to talk about a certain subject is that it sort of gives a peek inside the walls, if you will, and behind some of the secrets of the Patriot way. And, the Patriots have guarded that with their lives, and they just don't want people, getting a glimpse of that. And then if they get a glimpse, Mark, certain interpretations or certain observations may or may not be accurate. And frankly, I can understand the Patriots because they protect it, like a state secret or like a government secret. Right. I can understand that I guess I'll call it paranoia for lack of a better word, but it still doesn't come off well, and it makes Gronk look like he's trying to hide something.
Yeah, this was an interesting year covering the team. I felt something was off, with a lot of the players in the locker room this year, and I couldn't put my finger on it. And they just didn't seem as engaging or willing to talk to the media. I thought we had way more bad locker rooms than we had good. And then, throughout the season, I got denied a couple times by the Patriots for stories I wanted to write. It was just weird stuff, like I wasn't allowed to talk to Dietrich Wise's father. Then I wasn't allowed to talk to any relative related to Stephon Gilmore, and just weird things going on. I'm like, man, this stuff's never happened to me in the past. And, don't get me wrong, with Dietrich Wise and Gilmore, they're not going to step on Patriots' toes. So those stories basically got shut down. Then you get Gronk, and Gronk likes working with Alex Guerrero. He likes doing the TB12 diet because at the end of the day, this is a guy who's not 30. He's had 3 back surgeries, and he wants to be healthier. He doesn't want to be in pain, so that's why he made all those changes, and he liked the changes. He honestly liked the way he felt last year, even though the football season is a grind. I think at the end of the day, yeah, he wanted to talk about that stuff because it's kind of helping him, right? And if I'm the Patriots, man, I don't, why do you don't poke Gronk or Tom Brady because these are 2 of your best players. I mean, you lose Rob Gronkowski, you have such a giant hole you need to fill. It's going to be really difficult on that offense without him. So I don't see why to even have the fuss or who he's training with or anything like along those lines.
Well, it's funny. You must have my notes in front of you, Mark, because that kind of segues and transitions into my next subject. They still have to have a replacement in waiting for Rob Gronkowski, whether or not he comes back. And I know a lot of people were thinking that maybe the Patriots would have to, do something on the fly if he were to retire. But I think they frankly have to get Rob Gronkowski's replacement in waiting as much as they do Tom Brady's. Look, Jacob Hollister, great story, but he's a pass-catching tight end, right? I mean, and that's what we saw this year from him. Dwayne Allen is specifically a blocking tight end. He's not a pass catcher. And they need, in trying to find the replacement for Rob Gronkowski, that's going to be quite the tall task. In some ways, Mark, because it's such a unique position and he filled it in such a unique way, it's going to be harder to find a tight end like Rob Gronkowski than it is perhaps a quarterback like Jimmy Garoppolo. Do you agree with that?
No, 100%. Honestly, they might never find an adequate replacement for Rob Gronkowski. You might be looking at someone more like what Martellus Bennett gave you in 2016, a tight end who comes in and gets 700 yards and 6 to 10 touchdowns. If you can find that when Gronk's gone, I think that's a positive because Gronk's just a different beast. He's one of the best targets in the NFL, regardless of position. To sort of like adequately replace Rob Gronkowski, you're talking like Odell Beckham territory, that DeAndre Hopkins, those type of just phenomenal players who are in their prime who are almost uncoverable, and it's so unheard of these days. The Travis Kelce's of the world, there's not many guys like that. You know what I mean? So, like hypothetically, Gronk retires, if you're the Pats, you almost want to try to bring Martellus Bennett back just to have a backup because I don't think Dwayne Allen will give you anything. But I agree. I almost wonder, if they start to dip their toes into, the tight end market and just into the draft. I mean, there was a period, back in the day when they would draft, Ben Watson and Daniel Graham. It felt like every other year they were drafting a tight end in the first 3 rounds. Maybe they get back to that. Maybe you just try to draft someone earlier than you would have in the past when they, took like AJ Derby in the 5th round. But it's definitely not a bad idea.
Well, I mean, okay, let's look at the number. I think consensus number 1 tight end. I mean, in talking with Mike Mayock on that conference call the other day, previewing the NFL Combine and, of course, the draft April 26th through the 28th in Dallas, the one name that he keeps bringing up is Hayden Hurst out of South Carolina. He falls to 31. They take him?
I mean, if he's there at 31, you certainly have to consider it. And Rob Gronkowski also, even if he does come back, he's 2 years left in his contract, and there's certainly no guarantee he comes back. So you got a young kid in there, a first-round pick. You have him under control for 5 years. Have him learn behind Rob Gronkowski for 2 years, and then you can let Gronk go when he's 30, and have this kid if he's legit. I mean, that would certainly be a solid plan.
All right. Enough Gronk talk. I think I'm a little gronked out. I mean, we can always talk Gronk anytime we like. He's always going to be a story, but we have to move on to Tom Brady. And, his replacement in Jimmy Garoppolo, the Jimmy Garoppolo replacement, technically speaking. And obviously when Jimmy Garoppolo left, it left a huge void. Nobody thinks in their wildest dreams that Brian Hoyer is the future quarterback behind Tom Brady, and for obvious reason. I thought it was interesting that Kyle Shanahan thanked the Patriots for giving out at the Combine in Indianapolis. Thank the Patriots for giving them Jimmy Garoppolo. Did you see that? What did you think of that?
I did. Yeah, that's pretty telling. It sounds to me like the 49ers were pretty surprised that not only could they get him, but they could get him for a second-round pick. And at the end of the day, just seeing how that trade worked out, it doesn't look like it's in the Pats' favor. Quite frankly, there weren't many trades that Pats did last year that went in their favor. And I'm talking more like the Cassius Marsh, Cody Ewes, Dwayne Allen stuff. It just, it wasn't a great year for Patriots trades, but everything was interesting. I mean, he looked so good those last 5 games with the 49ers. I mean, my first thought is, how did you not get a future first-round pick or at least multiple draft picks for him? Right? Even if it was a stand for it, I would have felt better. And instead, he signs the biggest deal in NFL history. He looks like a future Pro Bowler, and you have Brady's successor there. And unfortunately for the Patriots, Tom Brady, 40 years old, is still the MVP, so that plan kind of blew up. But it's kind of funny when you think of the timeline, because it actually almost worked out perfectly for the Pats. They developed their own quarterback when their starter turned 40. This is any other quarterback we're talking about, or any other team.
Right.
I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo is here in New England, except Tom Brady's a freak of nature. So, you kind of have to roll the dice when the guy is still that good. But, yeah, a funny comment by him, and it's really going to be fascinating to watch Jimmy G develop over the years.
All right. Obviously, Josh Rosen of UCLA, Sam Darnold, who could go number 1 overall to Cleveland. There's a lot of people out in Indianapolis that feel that Darnold will go to the Cleveland Browns number 1 overall. Baker Mayfield might be there, but I don't think Josh Allen will be there either. But there are some fascinating names when you take a look a little bit deeper. If the Patriots want to go 2nd, 3rd, 4th round, Mason Rudolph out of Oklahoma State, Lamar Jackson, maybe he falls to the 2nd round, Logan Woodside out of Toledo, Kyle Lauletta, Richmond, Mike White out of Western Kentucky. Of those names, which stick out to you, and why?
I think the one that stuck out to me and most Patriots fans and writers was Kyle Lauletta of Richmond, just because of his family history. I believe it was his father was a quarterback for Navy, and his uncle was like the Navy punter, something like that. And both his father and uncle, they played for the Navy football team that had Bill Belichick's father, Steve Belichick, on the staff as, I believe, a scout or like an assistant. That connection just instantly jumped out at me. I know he performed really well at the Senior Bowl, and people were comparing him to Jimmy Garoppolo already. And top it off, he has a lacrosse background. I think another one of his uncles played like college lacrosse, was a big-time lacrosse player. So many connections with that guy. 1AA quarterback, comparisons to Jimmy G, family in the Navy, lacrosse. I'm like, oh my God, bells are just going off in my head with him, which is pretty funny. And the other guy you mentioned, Mason Rudolph and Luke Falco at Washington State, both of them interesting because they're projected to go around 2 to 4. And if the Pats don't select a quarterback in round 1, I almost think they, if someone's there around 2 to 4, do it again. That's where you got Jimmy. You got Jimmy Garoppolo at the end of the 2nd round in 2014, and it would make sense. Luke Falk's interesting just because of the Brady stuff. He sort of tried to patent his throwing motion and mechanics after Tom Brady. And I guess the best thing about this kid is from Washington State is that he's really accurate, and the Washington State program was kind of focused on more like short intermediate passes. But I hear that, and I kind of think Pats. And then the guy Mason Rudolph not too long ago, I felt like some people were wondering if he was like a first-round pick. So, he's like 6'5", big kid from Oklahoma State. Another good thing for the Pats is this seems like a really deep draft class. So who knows who drops there when the Pats are picking at the end of the first round, or there in the beginning of the second when they have that 49ers pick. Like you said, Lamar Jackson. Is that someone who would interest him? I mean, that would be pretty surprising to me because he looks, more like that, athletic quarterback that they typically don't see in New England, not since the days of Michael Bishop. But, you see guys like Deshaun Watson, and he said, having Deshaun Watson as your back, it wouldn't be too bad. So, maybe, it could be very, very interesting.
I think it'd be fascinating. Obviously, Luke Falk would be out of Washington State would be so ironic and yet appropriate because Tom Brady took over for a Washington State product, and to see a Washington State product, perhaps succeed him with the Patriots, that would be a very appropriate bookend. We're speaking with Mark Daniels, excellent, outstanding Patriots beat writer and NFL beat writer for the Providence Journal. I want to tell you about my newest time-saving trick. I got my daughter's contact lens prescription renewed from my couch just a couple of weeks ago in under 5 minutes using an awesome new app called Simple Contacts. Simple Contacts lets you renew your prescription and reorder your brand of lenses from anywhere in minutes through an online vision test. It's designed by doctors, and every test is reviewed by a doctor, so they're literally bringing the doctor's office right to your home. The contact lens prices are unbeatable. The vision test, only $20, and shipping is free. Best of all, my listeners get $30 off their first Simple Contacts order with my promo code TRAGS. Try it for yourself and save $30 on your lenses by going to simplecontacts.com/TRAGS, TRAGS, or entering the code TRAGS at checkout. Again, that's simplecontacts.com/TRAGS, or enter my code TRAGS at checkout. Speaking again with Mark Daniels of the Providence Journal here on Patriots Beat, episode 235. All right, we've talked about Rob Gronkowski and Tom Brady. With the March 12th legal tampering day approaching and the March 14th straight deadline for free agency set to begin, Patriots have a number of key decisions to make, Mark. Let's start first with a fascinating name because I think the market is getting hotter and hotter. I know Jeff Howe referred to this on Twitter earlier on Wednesday. Danny Amendola, what's his market, and can the Patriots, should the Patriots make the effort to keep him no matter what?
I think they should, and according to Jeff, it seems like he's going to be in that $3 to $5 million range, which is great for him because he's taken these pay cuts year after year. And, he's seriously making between $1.5 and $2 million a year, somewhere around then. When originally his original contract with the Pats called for $7 million a year, so he just took some massive pay cuts over the year to stick around at Foxborough and produce when the Pats needed it the most. I mean, in the Super Bowl, in that loss to the Eagles, Danny Amendola caught 8 passes for 152 yards. And I was thinking about this the other day. If the Pats win that game, I mean, Amendola's legendary status just goes through the roof because he's so good in the playoffs. He's always good in every single Super Bowl. It brought me back to 2014 where his playoff production essentially, outdid his regular season production. He's just so good. He's a really, really good slot receiver. And if there's one thing, the Pats they don't have another pure slot receiver like that on the team. They have other guys who are kind of, hybrid type receivers who do a little of everything. So if the Patriots, I try to bring him back. I don't think he's going to have a one-year contract. I mean, a multi-year deal. We're talking 1 or 2 years just because he's 33 years old. But if you can get him on the low end of that, $3 million, just do it because I think he's really important to this offense. And if you don't and you lose out, you say you lose out to someone else, he takes $5 million to go play with Jimmy Garoppolo in San Fran. All of a sudden, you look at that depth chart and it's all right. Edelman, 2 years left in his deal, coming off an ACL injury. Malcolm Mitchell didn't play last year, 2 years left in his deal. Then Chris Hogan and Brandon Cooks both have 1 year left in their deal. So you don't really have a lot of long-term stability. You have question marks in terms of health. So all of a sudden, slot receiver becomes a need. So you go free agency, you go in the draft, it would just create sort of another hole to fill.
Well, and I think the thing to understand here is Danny Amendola is super tight with Tom Brady. I mean, people rightly hype the relationship between Tom Brady and Julian Edelman, but for what Danny Amendola has produced, especially in the clutch moments, obviously in the playoffs, I think that is worth gold to Tom Brady. And certainly Rob Gronkowski is at one level in terms of significance to Tom Brady in the offense. Danny Amendola is pretty close up there with Edelman and Gronkowski in my estimation.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the type of chemistry that it takes a while to build. And so last year, Tom, Brady had some tough moments in the second half of the season. And I was really trying to figure out if he was hurt, is this shoulder, the Achilles, what's going on with Tom? And one source basically told me to look at the targets he was throwing to. Mm-hmm. It's all right. So all of a sudden, Hogan barely played in the second half. He played one game, didn't catch a pass. Edelman didn't play. Malcolm Mitchell didn't play. So really, you're talking all these new guys. Brandon Cooks was new. Philip Dorsett was new. The time position drastically changed. Dwayne Allen wasn't on the same page. So all of a sudden, you saw Brady sort of struggle when you had just a lot of new weapons. So if you bring a new slot receiver, I would be really surprised, if it didn't take some time. And I just think, it's third down and 2. Who does he go to? He looks for those guys over the middle. So there's no Danny. All of a sudden, you're focusing more on Julian Edelman. Is that a good thing when you're 32 coming off a knee injury? Probably not.
Malcolm Butler's gone. I don't think there's any dispute about that, right? I mean, that's indisputable. He is out. So a lot of speculation as to whether or not the Patriots make a run in the trade market for Richard Sherman or even somebody like an Aqib Talib, or do they go through the draft? What's your feeling on how they fill the void of Malcolm Butler?
Yeah, that's a really good question, because there's a part of me that believes the Patriots would be okay next year starting Eric Rowe, Stephon Gilmore, and Jonathan Jones in the slot. That being said, if you can get Aqib Talib or Richard Sherman on a lesser deal than what they're at now, I think it's definitely worthwhile. I mean, we saw last year Eric Rowe was actually the third cornerback to start the season. So if you could be the third cornerback again and you have Richard Sherman in there, I think that would be absolutely phenomenal. And I mean, I was a big Aqib Talib fan. You remember him? That guy was hilarious in the locker room.
He was
awesome. A lot of fun. So I mean, if the money's right, I would say definitely go for it. But if the money's not right, try to actually draft a cornerback and develop them. This has been really tough for the Pats to do. I mean, Cyrus Jones doesn't look like he's going to be anything. And I understand he's coming off an injury, but you know what? I'll be real. I haven't seen much from Cyrus Jones even when he was healthy in terms of his cornerback skills, and all the way down the line of all the cornerbacks I've drafted in the past. It's just these Jonathan Wilhite type characters. It just didn't pan out. So Ravai Dowling could actually draft a cornerback who will be 1 or 2. That would certainly be worthwhile because of money you pay. So I'd be down for that. It's interesting to me, though, because I think they have so many other needs. What happens with Nate Solder and all their tackles? I mean, if they don't get those guys, maybe that's a priority. Is the front 7 more of a priority? And they only have 6 draft picks, so you can only draft so many players. But the cornerback position, it would certainly be fascinating. But I'd be down for a veteran if it's cheap.
Well, I would love to see Richard Sherman in that backfield with obviously Stephon Gilmore and having Eric Rowe at the 3. Look, I mean, one of the things is you can't underestimate the loss of Jonathan Jones. And I thought, he was one of the quiet storylines that, we on the beat, we paid attention to when he was out. And that they didn't have him at the end of the season, and it got exposed in the Super Bowl. People forget about that, but that was a big, big loss, it turned out, right?
Yeah, it would have been interesting, too, if he was healthy. I honestly wonder if Malcolm Butler would have been active, which would have been another crazy storyline. Why was Malcolm Butler inactive? But, yeah, I mean, I thought he did a really good job in the slot. He's really competitive. I mean, he's undersized, but he's a super good athlete. A lot of people don't notice about him, but he was like a national champion high hurdler in high school. He's like, one of the best track athletes in high school, and coaches thought he was going to be an Olympian. Instead, he was an undrafted free agent, and he has kind of a cool background. When he was at Auburn, he was a projected 4th-round pick, but he broke his foot. I believe he slipped in the rain on stairs, and it was a freak accident. So he went undrafted, and I know that Bill Belichick made him priority undrafted free agent, so the Pats like him. So if he's healthy next year, I think you can certainly talk to him.
Okay, we're going to finish up here. Yes or no, whether or not they return to New England as a free agent. And I know you already touched on one. Nate Solder.
I'm going to say yes. It's going to be expensive, though.
Yeah, and I think the obvious other circumstances regarding his son Hudson and the care here. I just think that the two sides find a way to make it work out, and Solder is beloved in that locker. He really is beloved in that locker room, and I know you know that. I think he comes back as well. Dion Lewis.
No. The Dion Lewis situation is a tricky one. There's a lot of different layers and chapters to this verse. I don't think it happens at all. Prior to the combine, I know the Pats never reached out to him about a deal at all. I mean, you look what they did last year. They paid Rex Burkhead more money, Mike Gillislee more money. They extended James White early, gave him more money. The first 4 weeks of the season, they had Dion Lewis as the number 4 running back in the depth chart. I think, honestly, that was one of the worst coaching decisions of the season, of the regular season. I mean, he was by far the best running back. I just think all of that for a player, if it's me, I feel disrespected. I want to go elsewhere. If I'm Dion, I want to make more money because I have an injury history. And I think he sort of recognizes that this is his time to cash in. He's coming off his best season, and he wants to go somewhere where he's valued, as he said on that Adam Schefter podcast. I just don't see the Patriots, overpaying for him or just even beating the competition for him in terms of dollars.
I do not either. I agree with you there. And finally, Rex Burkhead.
I would say yes. Yeah, I know Duckhead had a report that his market's sort of heating up, but I think Bill Belichick really likes him. I think the coaching staff really likes him. The fact that he only played 10 games last year with 2 separate injuries, a knee and ribs, I feel like that actually plays in the Patriots' favor. I feel like he won't get as much money had he been healthy for a full 16-game season. And I know the Pats like his versatility. He can catch the ball out the backfield. He's a strong runner, averages over 4 yards carry. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised next year if, Rex Burkhead, starts the season as their main back and James White is the third down guy. That wouldn't surprise me.
All right, we have been speaking with Mark Daniels of the Providence Journal. Mark, how can people follow you on Twitter?
You can check me out, Mark Daniels, PJ.
And obviously check out your outstanding stories, including the one from January 20th on Rob Gronkowski. You have to definitely check that story out. The title of the story, the TB12 method pays off for Rob Gronkowski this season. It really opened some eyes back on January 20th. And again, reminding everybody that it was a very complicated situation between the Patriots, the TB12 Sports, and Gronk himself this year. It's a fascinating story. Definitely need to check it out at providencejournal.com. Stay with CLNS all day on game days in the fall, starting with CLNS Media New England Patriots pregame show with Alex Barth a half hour before every game. Then catch the postgame show with Marvin Ezon and Mike Molyneux live after every single game on clnsmedia.com. Be sure to check out our new website at clnsmedia.com. You can subscribe to the podcast on both iTunes and Stitcher and YouTube now. Also get daily team updates on the Patriots Newsfeed podcast, which is also available on the CLNS Media New England Patriots postgame show feed, available again on iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, and the CLNS Media mobile app. Thanks again for downloading today's Patriots Beat. Want to once again thank our terrific guest from the Providence Journal, Mark Daniels. You can follow him on Twitter at MarkDanielsPJ. You can also give us a follow at CLNS Patriots and at CLNS Media. Of course, give my own personal account a follow, please, at Trags, Trags. Today's sponsor was Simple Contacts. For Patriots content manager Mike Alonji, CLNS Media executive producer Larry H. Russell, the founder of the network Nick Gelso, thanks to everyone who tuned in. This is Mike Petralia, and this is the Patriots Beat podcast, powered by CLNS Media.
What's going on, Pats Nation? This is Marvin Zahn of the CLNS Media Network, and I'm here to tell you right now to check out the CLNS Media New England Patriots postgame show hosted by myself and my co-host, Mr. Mike Nice. And live on CLNS Radio immediately after every single Pats game, Call in at 929-477-2386 toll free to get your voice heard and contribute to the host breakdown and analysis of the latest Patriots contest. We also got the stars and sorries of the day, Twitter posts for the plays of the game, and everything else that is going on with the 5-time Super Bowl champions. Subscribe to CLNS Media New England Patriots postgame show on iTunes and Stitcher, and the best way, download the free CLNS Media Network mobile app for on-demand listening anytime, any place, anywhere.